What we're going to be doing today is looking through the practice test for the OSSLT. So once you guys get on the screen, you guys are going to click on enter. This is very similar to what you guys are going to see on test day, except you guys are going to be having different questions. So on the right hand side here, it will walk you through a minds on activity. If you want to review the general instructions of the test, okay, feel free to look through. If you want to look through that, make sure that you keep clicking on next page. And then it also has an overview of all of the tools, which are all these helpful tools on the right-hand side that you guys can use this year while writing the test. I'm going to be walking through how to use these as I go through the different examples today. So I'm going to be entering right into the practice site. So a couple of things that I want you to take note is on the actual test day in the top right-hand corner, please double check that your actual name is there. Otherwise, you are completing someone else's test. So it's very important that it's your name that's appearing in the top right-hand corner of the screen. You're going to notice that it's session A. So as we went over last time, in session A, there's 3 different readings. So the 3 different readings are here. You can do them in whichever order you want. And remember that the news report, the final task, is the task that has the short writing answer that is attached to it. I'm going to go ahead and open up the third task, the news report task. So once you choose a task that you want to start with, you're going to click on continue, and it's going to open up the reading. So what you're going to notice is the reading right now is taking up this whole entire page, and your questions are going along the side. So once again, the reading isn't that long. What you can do as soon as you read it is click on the question. So when you see your questions and your questions show up on your screen, it's a good idea to hit this open close reading selection. And what that'll do is it will split your screen so that you can have the reading selection and your questions on the same screen. Then you have some options down in the bottom right on whether or not you want to close the reading, or if you want to go full screen with the reading, or you can always go back to split screen. So this option is only available once you've actually chosen a question. If you're just on reading selection, then your reading selection is going to show up as a full screen. So let's look at some of the tools that we have available on our right-hand side. So one of the tools we have available is the Listen tool. So if you click on the Listen tool, you're going to notice that there's a play button up at the top now, and will actually read the whole entire reading selection out loud. Okay, so if you do choose this option, just note that if you click on the 3 dots, you can choose your playback speed. So if you want them to talk a little bit quicker, we can move that to 1.25. Okay, or you can make it go slower. So just know that you can change the playback speed, and you guys can also change the volume. But what's really important if you think that you're going to be using this feature is that you guys do bring a pair of headphones. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear if everyone's playing it at the same time. One of the other options that we have is the zoom in and the zoom out. So if you're finding that you can't quite read what's on your screen, you can use the zoom in and the zoom out buttons. Another nifty tool, if you keep losing your spot, there's a line reader, so you can move it as you read. And what's nice about this is if you are also zooming in or zooming out, it changes the side of the line reader, okay, along with your zoom in and your zoom out. So if you want to get rid of the line reader, you have to make sure that you just click on it a second time, and then it will disappear. If you want to change the contrast of your screen, okay, it just for some people it makes it a lot easier to read. So once again, you click on and off to change the contrast. And then the draw line feature. So what this does is it lets you strike things out. Okay, so it's not that handy when it comes to reading, but where it does come handy is when you're looking at the questions. So every time I switch to a new question, I need to make sure that I click the draw line on and off. So we all remember that one of our strategies for multiple choice questions is process of elimination. So that's where I find this draw line is very helpful. So once again, it's been selected on this question. So all that I need to do is, let's say I know that this for sure is the wrong answer. I can strike it off. Let's say I strike this one off. Okay, and so what I find this tool to be most helpful with is with the multiple choice questions. Okay, so note that when I go to the new question, okay, and I want to still use the draw line feature, I do have to turn it back on and back off. And then if I go back to my previous question that I used it on, once again, it's been turned off, so I'm going to have to turn it back on if I want to use it again. Now let's say I accidentally crossed off one of the options that I didn't want to and I want to erase it. So there is an eraser option here. So all that you need to do is select it and then you can just go right back over it and you can uncross them. The other feature that they have here is the highlighter. So if there's any keywords that you want to highlight, you can highlight those as well. And then the same thing, you can erase them with the eraser. So the final tool that they have available for you on the right-hand side is just the rough notes. So anything that you type in here is not going to be marked. So if some people like to take notes while they're reading because they've looked at the questions already, they know what the questions are. So if you want to take some key notes as you're reading the articles, then you can do that here. Type in your notes in here. You can toggle the rough notes on and off. And what's nice about it is when you toggle it off, your writing doesn't disappear. So it will still be there when you come back. And I think that people are going to find this really helpful on the final question of the test and session B when you're doing your series of paragraphs. So you'll be able to actually lay out and do an outline of what your paragraph is going to be in this rough note section here. So that's just an overview, a quick overview of the tools that we have available as we're writing the test. So now let's look at the test itself. So we went over that you have your reading selection, how you can do the split screen as soon as you open up one of the questions. And then remember how I said that the majority of the questions are multiple choice. So some of them are traditional multiple choice like this one here, where you're going to have to choose your answer. I'm just going to randomly choose one. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, so I'm just going to choose this one here. And you're going to notice as soon as I put my answer in, it's filled in the little circle, meaning that I've provided an answer. Okay, and then I'm going to move on to the next question. This one's still considered a multiple choice question. You're going to see that it has to do with vocabulary in the sentence. Okay, so you have a lot of choices here, and it says click your answer choice from the drop-down menu. So in this case here, you're going to be choosing one of the selections to fill in. Now, what's nice about this with word selection is it helps you choose that word in the sentence and actually see it there. So what I would do is I would put all 4 of these words in the sentence to see which one fits best. Okay, and then I'm going to make my selection. Okay, it's been filled in. I know it's answered and move on to the next one. Okay, so I'm just going to randomly answer so I can get to the end of this quiz. Okay, this one here looks a little bit different as well. It says drag and drop your answer choices into the correct boxes. Okay, so we have a prediction about the future of graffiti art, an opinion about why graffiti is a form of art, and factual information about the cost of graffiti art. So it wants to know which one falls into the correct paragraph. So what you have to make sure that you do in a question like this is that you're actually going back to the reading. Because I want you guys to remember that these paragraph numbers are these little numbers that appear to the right. Okay, so when they refer to paragraph 3, you're going to be looking at this section right here, okay, until it gets to the 4. And in this part here, it wants to know what are they talking about. Are they talking about a prediction about the future of graffiti art, an opinion about why graffiti is a form of art, or factual information about the cost of graffiti art? Okay, so just remember that the little numbers in the reading, they all refer back to a paragraph number. Excuse me. And that's going to be in a couple of the questions. Okay, so please remember that that's what those numbers mean. So I'm just going to randomly make some selections here so that my answer is complete. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next question. This one says, what is the main idea of this selection? Click your answer choice. Okay, so whenever it says this selection, they mean the reading that you did. Okay, and I want you guys to remember that the main idea is often found at the very beginning of the reading because it's going to tell the readers what's coming up. Okay, so you have your 4 choices. I'm going to choose one of them at random. I'm going to go to my last question. Okay, so this one here, since it's the news report, this is my short answer. So from our last session, if you remember, you have number of remaining words here says 100. So you're limited to 100 words. So if I start typing, this is my answer, you're going to see that I have 4 words up here. So my word count is now down to 96. Another thing that you might want to take note is if you take the right-hand corner of this box, it's not going to be too bad for the short answer, but when you do your long writing, you might want to see everything that you've written. So you can actually increase the size of your text box so that you can see more of what you have written. Okay, so I've noticed here that I have an answer. They're all filled in. So let's say I didn't provide an answer for question 6. Okay, and then I go to review and submit. It says you have not answered 1 questions in this section. Are you sure you want to submit this part? So what I like about this is if you didn't answer one of your questions, you are going to get a reminder that you didn't, and you can either submit it, leaving it blank, which I really don't want you to do, or you can go back and you can review the questions. So I'm going to put an answer in here. Okay, you guys are obviously going to be writing using APE, answer, proof, explain. You guys are going to have your 3 sentences in here. I'm just doing this to show you guys what happens when you finish a whole entire section of the test. I'm going to hit review and submit. Are you sure you want to submit this part? Now I'm going to say yes, they're all answered. And now I've received my first badge. Okay, so when I go back to the map, I'm going to see that this part is done. So when I click on continue, I see here that I now have received my badge for the news report. I can't click on continue yet until I finish the other 2 tasks. So I'm going to look at the other 2 readings. They're all just multiple choice questions. Okay, so once again, there's your reading. You can't do your split screen until you get to your first question. So I'm going to do my split screen here. So you have your multiple choice question. I'm going to put an answer on these. So here's another question. So it says, choose the option that best completes the sentence. So plasmodium is a, and then you see it says paragraph 3. So what it's doing here is it's telling you where this word is located. So if I go into paragraph 3, this is where my highlighter might come in handy. So I'm going to look here. I'm going to highlight that word. Okay, so I know that this is where I'm looking at to see my different options here. So if I want to click on an answer, though, I still have the highlighter. So I have to make sure that I toggle the highlighter off, and then I can actually choose a selection again. Okay, so I'm just going to randomly choose some answers here. This one says, which 2 statements are advantages in the development of McAlpine's anti-malarial drug? Okay, it says click the boxes beside the 2 statements that are advantages. So in this case here, I'm going to have 2 check marks. Okay, so 2 of them are going to be advantages or are good, and one of them is going to be bad. Okay, but I'm going to make sure that I randomly, right now I'm just being very, very random. I'm choosing 2 of them. This one here is another multiple choice. Another multiple choice. Okay, once again, it says, what is the function of the dashes in paragraph 6? So if I go down to 6, I'm going to have to go to the next page. This one here would be the longest reading that you would have. And then I'm going to look here. I'm going to take my highlighter again. I'm going to highlight this part here because at the beginning and end are my dashes. Okay, and it says pretty much why are the dashes there. Okay. I'm going to randomly put an answer. This one here says organize the following events in the order in which they actually happened. So the reason right now that they're saying actually happened, because it means in real life, which order would these go in? Okay, so which would happen first in life, second, third, and last, as opposed to what order do they appear in the reading? Okay, so you need to just fill in these events. So it's giving you one as a point of reference. Okay, and then you have to figure out which one came first, second, and then finally last. Okay, then your final question in this one here is click your answer choice from the drop-down menu. So your choices are going to be here. Okay, so once again, you would have to read the selection in order to find the correct answer. Okay, so once all my bubbles are filled in on the left-hand side, I can review and submit. Okay, and then I now have my second badge. Okay, and then there's one last reading to do that has the multiple choice questions for session A. So it's another shorter reading. I'm just going to split my screen and I'm going to randomly answer these so we can get to the end. Okay, so once again, these drop-down ones that are vocabulary, I really suggest that you read each sentence with all of your choices in it before you make your actual selection. Okay. So here, identify which of the following statements might cause researchers to doubt the findings of the original marshmallow test, and identify which statements might support the findings. So for each of these statements, you have to either select doubt or support, okay? So make sure in a case like this that you have an answer for each of them. Okay, we have another multiple choice. Okay, and then this one here says, identify which one of the following statements is the main idea and which two provide details to support the main idea. So drag and drop your three answers into the correct boxes. Okay, so your main idea, once again, what is this all about? Okay, so you're going to choose one of the statements as a main idea. Then depending on which one you choose as a main idea, you need to choose two of these statements, okay, that are going to support your main idea. So once again, this answer is not complete until you have filled in all three of these boxes with a statement. Okay, I'm going to hit review and submit. And then I'm brought back to my main screen. So I now see that I have my three badges, all the tasks are done, and now I have a finish button. So this doesn't appear until all three of your tasks are finished. So I'm going to click on finish. And it says below you will see the questions you have flagged for review. So as you go, if you think that you might come back to a question because you don't know what the answer is, there is an option to flag it. And then it's also going to give you a list of any questions that you left blank. Okay, so it's going to give you one final chance to go back and to answer any questions that you may have missed. Okay, and then if you agree with all this, and you can click on continue. Behind over here is actually where your back button is. Okay, if you wanted to go back to re-answer some of those questions. Okay, and then it says, are you sure you would like to submit session A of this assessment? You will no longer be able to make changes to this session after submission. Okay, so one final time. So it gives you lots of opportunities to go back. It reminds you that you have questions that you missed in case you did. If you think you're fully done, okay, this is where you can actually submit the test. So you're going to say, yes, submit the session. And then it's going to tell you that you have completed session A. Okay, and for some of you guys, you're done for the day and you're going to do session B, okay, at another time. Okay, so once session A is complete, then you're done that part of the test. And session B is going to be very similar. Okay, I'm not going to go through this in as much detail, but just know that you do have your three tasks. Again, your last one being the opinion essay. So your dialogue is just going to be another reading selection with your multiple choice questions. The writing conventions, let's take a look at this one quick. Okay, remember all of these have to do with grammar. Okay, so what I'm just going to suggest that you guys do before test day is that I'm going to leave you guys with this website address where you guys can actually go in and practice this. I know that some of you guys did do this practice test last year, but I think it is a really good idea if you guys do it a second time just before the test to kind of get in the right frame of mind. And if you guys have any questions, please, please, please ask me. I'm either in person or you guys can always send me a message through Edsby. Okay. So I'm just going to go review and submit to get back. Okay, so notice even though I didn't answer any of the questions, it still gave me my badge because I chose to submit blank answers. Okay, I can always re-click on this to go back and answer them whenever I want. Okay, so just know once you have that badge, it doesn't mean that it closes the session. Okay, it just means that you have agreed to submit some blank answers, which I don't want you to do. Okay, and then the opinion essay. Let's just look at this part quickly. Okay, so just remember, I am going to do one final session with you guys on how to do this task correctly, and I'm going to be doing that with you guys next week. So just as a reminder, it's going to remind you to do an introduction. Okay, you want to have 3 relevant reasons, and you want to support your arguments. Okay, and then you're going to have a conclusion. Okay, so once again, what I want you guys to remember at this point is that you guys are probably going to want to extend this text box, and you guys are going to want to use your rough notes, okay, to help plan out what you're going to be writing. Okay, and then that's pretty much it for the test. So if ever you guys have any questions, once again, please be sure to ask. What I want you guys to do before you guys write the test is to definitely go on this test site. Okay, so I am going to leave the website to the practice test with your teachers to post on Edsby. Okay, so thanks for listening. Good luck on the test, and I will see you guys one last time before you guys are writing.